I'll get started. I want to thank you all for coming out on your Saturday morning to talk about my favorite subject. But I know that organizing isn't everyone else's favorite subject. So I kind of want to survey the room. Who is here because they hate organizing, but they want to get more organized? Show of hands. Okay. Who is here because they love organizing and they're big nerds and geeks and just want to hang out with other organizers? People, all right? Anyone here because they're interested in the professional organizing industry? Yeah, because that was me. When I discovered you can actually get paid to do this, I attended all sorts of how to get organized stuff, so I always want to find out who's in the room who might be interested in that. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. So my name is Sarah Karakaian, and I thought at first I would introduce myself so you can kind of see who am I to give you some organizing advice. In 2005, I graduated from college with my degree in musical theater, actually from Kent State University. I went 2 years to Baldwin Wallace, so I know this area well. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. But in 2005, I was all gung-ho on being a stage actor. And I moved to New York City. I told my boyfriend at the time, now my husband, that, hey, if you want to come, great. If not, this is what I'm doing. I plan my things out and I see them through. There's a lot of failure along the way, but at least I give it a really good go. Acting's really hard. Everyone told me that, but I had no idea how hard it was. Growing up in a small town, it wasn't very hard to at least be in the ensemble of something. So I figured I may not be the star of Broadway, but at least I'll get some small roles. And I did. I traveled for 4 years around the world in a musical called Hairspray, and I had a lot of fun. But I actually ended up using a lot of skills that I had as a child when I was touring. All you have are 2 suitcases, right? Because that's all the airlines will allow you. And the touring companies aren't going to let you bring more stuff because that costs them more money. So I really understood the value of living small. Additionally, I had an apartment in New York City. So when I'm gone, I don't want to give up my lease because it's really expensive to get a lease in New York. You have to do first month's down, security deposit, and then last month. So I'm just getting started. That's not even including your monthly rent. So if you get a lease, you hang on to it and you sublease. So then you've got to take all your stuff out of your room and put it somewhere so that someone else can pay your rent for you while you're gone. It's very common in New York City. So I didn't know at the time that I had all these skills, and growing up I had these skills. My parents are, they're very educated people. My mother has 2 master's degrees and she just got her PhD in nursing. My father is an educator in the education system. So they were always in school when I was growing up, and while they provided a beautiful roof over our head, they weren't too much into the functionality of it. So I was always reorganizing my mother's cabinets. I was always painting our living room different colors. I don't know if you remember, but in 1990, hunter green and dusty rose were really in. So you better believe that was all over my parents' house. And my parents were really supportive of this. They were like, if you want to go in the cabinets and reorganize the flour and the sugar so it's with all the baking stuff, and all the cooking stuff is together, which is funny because I'm not a very good cook, but I know where things are supposed to go. So I had this talent, and I had no idea that later on in my adult life, it would help me through a hard time. As acting got more difficult for me, just because I wasn't always working on stage, and it really upset me, I was finding myself working a lot in the restaurant industry, where my organizing and my acting skills were put to use every day. I was a bartender, and it's pretty lucrative, so money wasn't an issue. It was just I wasn't doing what I thought I loved. So in 2012, I kind of went through this mid-20s crisis. I don't know if anyone else has gone through one of those, but they're real, where you really discover who you are as an adult, right? You're supposed to decide what you want to do at 18 and then stick with it your whole life. My mom has been a nurse since she was she was a nurse's aide when she was 16, and she's still a nurse today. For me, that was a lot of pressure, because at 25, 26, I was feeling like, I was sitting in auditions, and I didn't know that I was still happy. But I was forcing myself through it because that's what you're supposed to do. Well, I was on one of those apps. Anyone here know Groupon? Right, where you go on and you find deals? I was on the app one day, just probably on the subway, just passing time. And I saw this guy, and the name of his business is the OCD Experience. Justin Clark. He's now my friend. But you ever have those aha moments where you're like, what is this business offer? And I was reading what the Groupon offered, and it was like, whatever discount off of 3 hours of professional organizing. I was like, I'm so sorry, what? And so then I went into a black hole of this soon-to-be new career, and I had never started my own business before, although acting is very much a business for yourself, but they don't really teach you that in college. Had I known then what I know now, it may have had a very different experience. But I learned that people will pay me to come in their home and create systems. I then discovered, and I would love a show of hands to see if anyone else who knows about this organization, but it's called NAPO. It's the National Association for Productivity and Organizing Professionals. One person.
I remember.
You remember? Yeah. Do you belong to the chapter here in Ohio?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's an amazing organization. And I discovered that along this journey of like going through that black hole on Groupon and then discovering that there's a group of people that are just like me and they love this thing. And so I immediately joined the New York chapter, and I sat in a room about this size with about this many people, and there were speakers that day, and I learned that there's so many different facets of organizing. There are people who call themselves generalists. There are people who work with busy families. There are people who work with busy professionals. There are people who work with commercial businesses. There are people who work with digital clutter. And I mean, my mind was just, right? I was so excited. And I dove in. I started working for organizers who were very seasoned and had a lot of clients. And I loved it. I tried a little bit of everything. And I discovered that residential organizing for busy entrepreneurs was kind of like my niche. It's people who had an appreciation for their home. They just didn't have the time to do what they needed to do to get ready. So they come home at night, everything's in a systemized fashion. So they can make dinner, they can take care of the kids, and it's all just kind of done for them. That was my sweet spot. I also helped people unpack. So people would move to New York City, and they had to get started their job the next day. And living in a 400 square foot apartment with boxes all around you is not a great way to start your new life in New York. So I spent a lot of time helping people unpack their boxes, which I also loved. I got to set up a house all the time. And I was like, this is my jam. I love this. And I started reading all these professional organizers' books. I started listening to so many podcasts, and I went all in. So since 2014, I've been making money helping people in their homes. And I absolutely love it. When I first started, all I wanted to do was give my clients, I was working with other organizers, so they would send me out on their behalf. And I wanted to have a magic wand for my clients. I didn't know how to disappoint people because they thought I would come in and I would solve all their problems. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. I compare organizing a lot to dieting because a lot of us know what we should be doing, but it's the doing it that's really freaking hard, right? Like, we all know we shouldn't eat that slice of pizza, but we do. And sometimes you end up just getting so frustrated, you invest in an accountability partner. And it took me a couple of years to learn that that's mainly what I do, is I help people stay on track. Pinterest has been great for me and my clients. I do a lot of design work too, interior decorating and design work, and it's a great way for us to collaborate. But Pinterest is also a great way to depress you. Because you look at these beautiful pictures that are really bright and they're white, and you're like, why is my life not like that? And I can tell you what, in my journey through organizing, I've started working with brands and creating blog posts like that, and they take days to get a space to look like that. And sometimes they're not even functional. So they might show you a beautifully organized cabinet or a beautifully organized pantry, and if you were to go in there and work and try to cook, they don't work. So they're beautiful, but they're not functional. So I just want to give you all permission to just give yourself a break. Because organizing is really tough, especially if it's not something you love doing. When I was little, I'd come home and I would organize the VHS tapes. But my sister wants nothing to do with it. We used to share a room when my great aunt got ill, and so she came to live with us. My sister came to live in my room, and I took painter's tape, and I divided our room. Because my side was, my dolls were like height organized, and I maximized the height of my closet by putting my dresser in there and putting all my long hangs on the side of the dresser, my short hangs over the dresser, and then I had drawers. This is in my blood. My sister, it was just a disarray. But she's good at other things that I'm not good at. So that's the way that's the way we work, right? We're all good at different things. This is my jam. So I'm going to get started. But I just wanted to give you my little spiel about why I feel I'm qualified to share what I've learned with you on this journey today. This is kind of the boring part, and I'll get into the fun tips about some fun ways to get organized in your home that maybe you haven't thought of, maybe you have, and I'm just here to show you that they do work. But organizing, like I said, when you start a diet or a workout plan, sometimes a trainer will sit down with you and talk with you first. Because you can work out with them all you want, but if you go home and eat that tub of ice cream, it's kind of all for naught. So we kind of have to go into the theory of organizing. And with most things in life, starting a business, starting an educational path, or getting organized, you have to know your why. Why do you want to get organized? And that's going to help you stick to it. If it's just because you want to live a life like you find on Pinterest, that may not be enough of a reason to keep you going when things get tough, when you come home and things are everywhere, because that's going to happen. Even after you set up systems, it might happen. But you know your why. Maybe your why is that you want more time to start that business, that side hustle. Maybe your why is you want to have more time with your children or your grandchildren. So the more systems you have, the less time you spend cleaning up, the more time you can spend with your children. And so sometimes I'll have my clients tell me what their why is. It might take them a while to figure it out. And they'll print it up and we'll put it somewhere in the house where they'll see it every day. I really believe in affirmations and just reminding yourself why you got into something, because it's tough to get into something and to see it through, especially organizing. So you have to know why you want to do it, so when things get tough, you can go back to that and say, I'm doing this for my kids, I'm doing this for my kids. So that when you can spend another 20 minutes just perfecting the system, it's going to pay off someday and it's going to be worth it for you. So know why you want to get organized, whether it's in your home or your office. Maybe it's digital clutter and you're finding that your assistant is spending way too much time on organizing papers or just shuffling papers around. Sometimes I've been able to save small business owners money by showing them how to cut down on time organizing all that paperwork that comes in. So sometimes you want to save money in your business, and then we get specific on how much money and what time. It's all about your why. Why have you failed in the past? Is it because you don't have a good grasp on what it takes to get organized and know that it's not this one and done situation? Is it you have no one to turn to? Maybe your partner isn't as supportive. Maybe they don't have a why and it's not that important to them. Many amazingly successful people function quite well on being disorganized. They always say creative people, you can kind of walk in their studios and things are everywhere. And they do fine. So that's their life. So one thing I will say is if you have a partner who's not, this is not their biggest, this is not their focus, that's okay. You can't make them. That doesn't mean you can't get organized. I've worked with a lot of families where for example, maybe the husband is just fed up and he really wants to get the house organized, but the wife is actually the one who's working 12 hours a day and she's just like, I can't handle one more thing. And so he spends so much time trying to convince his wife when all we have to do is just start with yourself. So I'll work with the husband. I'll say, all we need is your wife's permission, or just to say, I will support you in doing this, but I really don't want anything to do with it right now. That's fine. We can start there. Because then maybe she'll see the benefits that you're experiencing from getting organized, and we can get her on our team. But that might be a reason why you failed in the past or not get started, because you don't feel like you have that support system. And that's ultimately why people reach out to professional organizers, because we're kind of like your coach, right? We're that dietitian or nutritionist or that guy you meet at the gym. So who will hold you accountable? So if you failed in the past because your partner or your kids or you have anyone there holding you accountable and you just need someone to remind you to do these, I'll give homework assignments all the time to my clients. Sometimes it's worth it for people to pay that fee, that accountability partner. Or maybe you have a friend. Maybe you go on Facebook and say, who else is fed up with being disorganized? Let's hold each other accountable once a week. Every Sunday we meet up and we talk about it. You just need an accountability partner because it's tough. Where should you start? And I mean that as in within your home, within your office. sometimes I'll go to a client's house to do a consultation, and it ends up being like a tour of their entire home, their attic, their garage, and I'm overwhelmed, right? Because that's a lot to take in, and you gotta start at one spot. So I often find out, where's that pain point? What if we could just do this one little spot? Where would you feel good? A lot of the times it's in the kitchen at the sink. Even if people have dishwashers, just getting the dishes into the dishwasher is a big task, and I get that. So we just start there. Why don't we, before you even hire me and commit to this, let's just start at your sink every night. I want you to send a picture to me, to my email address, of your sink clear and clean. Just do that. Let's do that for a couple weeks. And they notice how much they love waking up in the morning and seeing their sink clear, clutter-free. And that was enough for them to tackle. So start small. I think starting small, if this isn't your jam, starting small is great. Now, if you just need like a little kick in the pants, sometimes going all in on a weekend on a room is the way you should work. So we're not all created equal in that way, right? We all work differently. But those are two different ways that you can get started. And then when should you start? This is like a diet. I'll get started after the first of the year. Or I'll get started after my birthday. I'll get started. But that's the thing. Organizing is changing the way you live within your home, within your office. So today, you know, if you can start today, you should. Because there's no better time than today. And if you really are committed to changing the way you live and to making different decisions about your stuff, then that's really when you should start. It's today. Once you can commit, once you really feel like you've got your why, you've got why you failed in the past, you understand who will hold you accountable, you need to have someone, friend, child, partner. You understand either are you a start small person or you a start big person. That's when you find out your when. Who here has heard of the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up? Marie Kondo. There's a few people, okay. She kind of helped us put organizing on the map, even more so than a lot of these organizing shows that we're getting now on TV. She is a Japanese woman who wrote a book about her way that she thinks everyone should get organized. She says her system is fail-proof, and her thing is go all in. Take a whole week. What does that mean? That's so rude. Take a whole week and just do it all. Just get it done and rip the Band-Aid off. Get a team in there. Find a professional organizer who has associates, do the whole thing. I see, and then she recommends that you start in different categories. I believe the first one is books and paper, and then clothing, or maybe that's reversed, because her idea is you start with stuff that's not hard to make decisions on. Books, paper, we know we can keep or leave. Clothing, it fits or it doesn't. And then you get into the harder stuff as you move through all these categories. I can see how that can work for some people, but for other people, they would give up before they even get started. So just know who you are. I think that's my point. I love this. Once I learned I didn't have a magic wand for my clients, the more I was able to help my clients. And I think this is a really great visual. Organizing is a circle, not a straight line, and you have to roll with it. So let's say you spend the weekend organizing your closet, and you think you have a system in place. And then a week later, you find clothes on the floor, and you're like, it didn't work. It just didn't work, and I'm terrible at this. Or I hired this organizer, and this is not working, it's all for naught. It's not true. So now you've learned something else about yourself. You set up a system, something in that system has a bump in the road, you just fix it. And then you assess it 2 weeks after that. There's still clothes on the floor, let's go back and revisit. It's just like a diet, right? That's why there's so many diets out there. There's so many workout plans. There's CrossFit, there's people who love to just run, people love Olympic weightlifting, because we all operate differently. It's the same with organizing. You have to trial and error, and you need patience, so just roll with it. Anyone have any questions or thoughts they want to contribute thus far into the conversation? No? Okay. So I'm going to get into the fun part. Here are some tips that are tried and true that I have introduced to a lot of my clients. Some of them are ideas that I'd like to say that I came up with, then I go on Pinterest and I'm like, that woman totally ripped off my idea. But who knows? But they work. So, and all these ideas are really affordable. I'm a really big fan of Amazon and or IKEA. I believe that the more you can keep down your costs on products, the more fun organizing can be. You don't have to spend a lot of money on a lot of fancy, expensive things. You can if you want, but I don't think that's going to make your system any better or worse. So for example, pot lids. My clients are always like, I never know what to do with pot lids. You know, they have the handle on top, so you can't really stack them. There are a lot of ways to handle pot lids. This is one of my favorites. You can put it behind a cabinet door. It's just like this. This guy's from IKEA. I think he's $6. And what is this line? Gruntle. I think they actually discontinued Gruntle. I think they have a new system. But anyway, it's just a bar. It probably comes off about 1.5 inches off the wall. Just enough of that lid to hang on the bar. If you don't want to put a hole into your nice cabinets, anywhere on the wall will work. If you got a pantry, you know, if you ever want to take it down, or reorganize your pantry, you just patch the hole with a little putty, paint, you're fine. It's a great way to get those pot lids out of your cabinets that are all scattered about and way in the back. Some probably don't even have pots and pans for the lid anymore. I love discovering that. It's like, well, you don't need 5 of these, so that solves a lot of our problems. But another great use for this $5 tool is you can get S-hooks from your hardware store, these little hooks, and you can put, S-hooks, and then little, you can get little pot hangers from a hardware store as well. Maybe your utensils go in there. IKEA sells things too that are, meant for this system, but you can always hack that and make it your own. When in doubt, and it's actually my last slide, so I'm kind of giving away my most favorite tool, but it's always think up. Especially, I found out, so I lived in New York for 13, 14 years, and it's amazing to me how I'll walk into an apartment, and sometimes there's just pathways, because there's so much stuff in the ground, which is okay, I can handle that. There's nothing on the walls. And I'm like, your walls look great from eyesight up, but you're missing out on so much of that really expensive real estate. I mean, sometimes it's $200 a square foot, $300 more, depends on where you live. And I'm finding that with some of my clients here in Ohio. Right now we're in Columbus, and sometimes your home is so big, you just fill up all these rooms because you're like, well, I have the space. But my argument is, right, but do you use those things? Are you using all the things that are in that space? So also making decisions on the things that you own and really asking yourself, again, why you have them is a great way to start. So if you got these pot lids in the bottom of your cabinet, but they don't go to any pans anymore, maybe you don't need them anymore. Get them out. So these guys, awesome. Okay, basic. I love this. I love plastic bins. Now, I'm not saying just buy plastic bins for the sake of buying them. I love them because they're really inexpensive. My favorite brand is, it's called, I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's like their Homes, H-O-M-Z. But I don't know why. This guy just never fails me because the system on top is really sturdy. I love how these clip really nicely. And it's stackable and clear. Now, my husband doesn't like to see things. So some people don't like to see what's inside containers, and that's okay because that's what labels are for. Me, I like to see what's inside. That's just my personality. So you can adjust. If you get a colored container, like I've done garages and basements for families, and we'll do all the red containers are decorations, and all the green containers are, tree skirts and kitchen holiday cloths and plates and things like that. So you can organize by color when it comes to these things. Or maybe you get bright blue ones for all of your spring decorations and you get orange for fall. So use color as a way for you to visually organize big spaces like your garages or your attics or your basements, things that New Yorkers do not have. But maximize that for sure, but don't feel like you have to fill it up just because. So, and again, it's really asking yourself why you have the stuff that you want to put in this. One system I have for these is when you go to organize your home, whether you're working by yourself or with your accountability partner, I usually have my clients start with 3 piles. We have a keep, we have a discard, we have a donate. That helps make decisions really easy because there's not all of their options. Either you're keeping it or it's not. No, it can help no one because it doesn't function, or we can give it to someone else who can use it. And how good does it feel to get a tax write-off from your donation and to help people within your community? I love it when in New York I had to rent a U-Haul because I was taking stuff from someone's apartment that wasn't being used and I could donate it to the local donation center in the neighborhood. It's a great feeling and they love receiving great donations. They're not a trash accepting place, so please only donate things that are actually usable. But again, if you're not using it, donate it. Now, there are things that are really tough. I get it. Maybe you have a whole container full of grandma's quilts. I understand. My grandma was a quilter and she passed away 5 years ago. It's been really difficult for my mom because she's got maybe 4 or 5 of these guys. And I said, okay, Mom, this is what we're going to do. Which ones can you absolutely not live without? You've got crazy great memories of cuddling up with Mom, Grandma, with this quilt. And so we put those aside. Those are staying. And we're going to drape them over the couch. We're going to use those quilts because that's why Grandma made them, to use them. And then we have the ones that maybe they don't go with her decor, or she doesn't really remember why Grandma made it. Maybe it was just for a quilt show or what have you. But she just felt guilty giving it away. I get it. I don't think that you should put yourself through any sort of turmoil when it comes to getting organized. Why don't you put it into a maybe container? And then revisit it in 6 months to a year when either if it's a loss or maybe it's just you're overwhelmed with decision making. But put it in your calendar. If you use like Google Calendar or iCal right away, schedule 6 months out, 1 year out, go through the maybe container. If you haven't thought about the container, if you can't even tell me what's inside of it without looking at it, it's safe to say that we can give those blankets to someone who can really use them. Still might be tough, but I think that's a great way for you to separate the reason why you're keeping it from what you really should be doing with your space. Because if it's just sitting in the basement in a container, I mean, it's not functioning for you or anyone in the family, and it's actually sometimes it brings back a lot of painful memories. Okay, so I love these guys. Just make sure you get a good quality one. So if you're at Walmart or Target, stack them. Make sure the sides aren't gonna like cave in on you. A lot of the plastic guys, you get what you pay for a lot of the time. So invest a little bit more and you won't be buying plastic containers all the time. Okay, digitize what you can, file, not pile what you cannot. So, I get it. I am not the techiest person in the world. I actually have organizer friends who are incredibly technology savvy and they help me all the time with how to do this. But let me tell you, when I learned a system for myself, it cleared my desk up and I can sit down and just feel like I can get to work on whatever it is I'm working on. I think scanners are a great investment for your family. Whether you have an all-in-one printer, the scanner that actually works, my problem is whenever I bought one of those all-in-ones, something in that all-in-one wouldn't work, whether it was the printer or the scanner. So I just bought a Fujitsu scanner. That's all it does. And it's real small, so I ended up being able to take it to my clients and help them get started. But once you build a system, it's important that you have your own way to digitize those things. So every week, my husband and I, for example, we have a bunch of little businesses. And so it's really important for us to get those receipts digitized so that they're not everywhere, or they're not in these like, you know, after a few years of owning your own business, you've got all these different filing cabinets, and the IRS will take digitized copies of receipts. So every week we do that, and it just makes it real simple and not too much of a headache for us. I don't know what that means for you. For families, if you've got kids, you've got all that artwork coming in, which I've seen firsthand from families who have 2 or 3 kids. I mean, I feel like they're making 7 pieces of art a day, which is great for creativity. Then mom or dad feels so guilty when they're like, I don't know what to do with all. I don't know, I feel guilty, it's my child's artwork. Okay, cool. So maybe we have the child pick out their favorite artwork of the week, and maybe on a wall you have, you know, Kyle's winning art piece this week, and that's where that one piece of art goes, or maybe it's on your fridge. There are a lot of companies out there where you can just take a container like this or put it in a box and ship it off, and they will turn it into a really beautiful coffee table book. Yes. And if you are a little bit, so I have clients who are like, I don't care about organizing what's in the copy book, I just want it in the copy book. Okay, cool. So we literally just, I'm not joking, threw artwork into a cardboard box and shipped it off. Book came back. We don't know if Oliver made it or if Audrey made it. It didn't matter to this mom. She just wanted it in something and to be done with it. you can say whose work it is. Maybe you do a book every year, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and you have half the front book is Audrey and the other half is Oliver. Whatever works for you in your mind, these companies are popping up everywhere. That is the great thing about working with people in the industry, and I'm telling you, you've got a big network of NAPO people here in Cleveland, the Cleveland area. They know about these companies and these opportunities. So if for nothing else, if you get like a couple hours of consultation work, you can say, I've got all these things, can you pair me up with these vendors, or can you help me get this stuff done? And I mean, for this mom, getting this artwork system figured out meant the world to her. I say file, not pile. So you can argue that I'm piling paperwork, but at least, like I said, my favorite thing to do is use height. I'm using height. We could put labels in front of here, right? Peel and stick labels. You can even take a piece of cellophane tape, put it here and then write it a marker if you don't want to invest in a labeler. That's fine. But at least you know what's going on here. It's not like in a pile on your desk, right? Like, oh, I'll go through it. No, you won't. You're not going to do it. Not until you hire someone to help you or get your friend over there or your partner is like, I need you to get this office under control. This helps if you already have a home, incoming, outgoing, to be decided, and once your to be decided gets too big, it's time to go through it. But you don't know that until you create a home for all of your stuff. File not pile also works. I wish I had a picture. With your clothing. Has anyone heard about that? Filing not piling your drawers? So you know when you put in a drawer and you stack, right, you fold a t-shirt and you stack it all, right, in your drawer. So you pull it out, all you see is the top shirt. If you take that pile and you file it, now you can see all those shirts. Try it. It's great. Okay. I'm a big fan of junk drawers. I really am. I think I get it. You know, when you walk in, there's these little things that, like, you use them all the time, but you don't want to go all the way to your home office or wherever. It's just great to have it right there in the heart of the home in the kitchen. Junk drawers are okay. Just organize it. I love using silverware organizers because they're compartmentalized. A lot of people will maybe take little tiny cardboard boxes. Maybe you get a lot of Amazon orders. You can cut the lids off, and then there you go. There's compartments for you. You don't have to be expensive. You don't have to invest in a lot of product. But I like this because maybe all your junk pens and pencils go here. Maybe you got, like, maybe you put rubber bands in like a little Ziploc in this one, and then there's also some paper clips and a little thing of staplers. Your stapler goes there. I mean, all these little office-y things, it's just nice to have in the kitchen. Just organize your junk drawer, and it's going to make you feel a lot better when you pull it open. People call these things shoe organizers, but they really need to stop because they're just hanging compartments, and they're also like organizing, I don't know. It's everything to me. I love these things. So can anyone, because I like a little audience participation, what would you put in this other than shoes?
Gloves.
Gloves.
Scarves.
Scarves.
Hats.
I organize my stocking stuff in those, so if it fits in there, it's going to fit in a Christmas stocking.
That's great. And that's a great way to not overspend. Once you hit that top, that's it.
Right.
I love that. So she said her stocking stuffers, she uses this, she'll like fill it up, I'm guessing, as you're shopping before the holiday season comes. Once it hits here, that's your stocking. That's what you get. You don't overspend. My mom loves, I'm 35 years old, I still get a stocking at home. She loves it. And I won't tell her about this because that way I'll still get a great. That's a great idea. And I love that. It's kind of like, and that's my theory with homes too, right? It's like, you don't always have to fill things to the brim, you guys. Like, take back your home and cut back on the expense of bringing things home all the time. You can say no so that you can have more space for yourself. What else can we put in here?
I have plastic that's see-through.
Yes.
And I put all the sewing threads, all the sewing materials, all the needles and so forth.
So she said they have clear ones. You've seen those clear ones. She puts all of her sewing, her threads in there, anything else that you have with your sewing or your crafting. You can hang this up. See how we have these holes? You can do 2 hooks in the wall, or you can hang it in your closet. I have a few other ideas, but I'm not going to say them. I'm going to see if you guys have them.
I have the clear ones, and I put all my jewelry and necklaces in, and then I can see them, and I use them more.
And it takes up like no space, right? Instead of like going out, you're going up, and like it's like super, thin. Anything else?
Yeah, bathroom items.
Bathroom
Flat
items.
iron, curling iron.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Mine's in the front hall closet, so when people come in, they just roll their scarf up,
Yep,
put their gloves in,
yep,
and it's clear through.
yep.
And I like it because no matter what coat I want,
There you go.
gloves to match.
She said to put it in your entryway, so then if it's clear, you can see what's inside, and you can just grab whatever gloves or scarves that you feel like wearing that day. Did you have another idea?
It was, so my sister uses one in her apartment bathroom.
Mhm.
She can't hang things on the wall, nails, but she's able to use the little hook.
Yep. People put this too on their shower rod and hang it actually inside their shower because this is like a nylon. So if you want to put your shampoo bottles in here, okay, I'm going to go to town now. You can put your cleaning stuff in here, and if you have like a pantry or whatever, and so like you got all your cleaning stuff, right? You can, did I write anything down? Oh yeah, so kids' rooms, dolls, all the dolls. All those little McDonald's toys that you parents just can't say no to, or like that alone, if we could just schedule a time to go through those McDonald's toys. But this is a great way to take up less space, they're not on the floor, you're not stepping on them. Legos, the clear ones are great for Legos. My husband loves Legos, so my 36-year-old husband has one of these in his closet. So yeah, small toys, cleaning supplies. Okay, my favorite thing, and this is kind of a little Pinteresty of me, but it worked. What I did was, in New York we lived in Queens, so we had a tiny little backyard, but nothing that you guys have. But I wanted to grow some herbs. I am not a cook, but I know that I love my cilantro. I do like margaritas, so I like cilantro in my margaritas. I wanted to grow my own cilantro. And Nick's a good cook, my husband, so he likes mint, oregano, all those cool things. So they make them out of natural fibers too. And what we did was, it was a little longer, and we cut it with scissors. We mounted it to the side of our shed, and then we framed it with some miter edges with some wood, and we had this really cute on-the-wall gardening system that often it would rain enough where it would just, take care of itself. It was very hands-off for someone like me. So I've known people who use these for herb gardens. Sometimes I love that stores will name things like a shoe organizer and get you started, but then sometimes people just stop there. And they don't think about what else that could be good for. So the more creative you can get, and that is what Pinterest is good for. You can Google multiple uses for something and get tons of information.
Garden tools.
Garden tools, yes.
Those little hand tools that you can't find.
And they're so light. Just throw them in there. So just gardening tools, right? Like endless ideas for that guy. And I bet you can find it on Amazon for under $15, maybe even less. I think at IKEA that's $10. Corral-like items. So little trays somehow magically change something visually into looking like it's organized. Maybe these have already been on the counter, but once you put on a cute little tray, it just makes you feel all put together, So that's why I brought this little tray. These little trays, you can find them at IKEA. And let's say these are all the items I use in the morning. I take my contacts out, and then I moisturize my face, and then I put on my makeup and my lipstick, and that's my routine. So I like to have on the shelf and not like tucked away in cabinets. Sometimes people get over-organized, and sometimes being over-organized slows you down as well. But just get a little tray. If you're lucky enough to have space in your bathroom, because I've had clients who don't, and then we just get creative. But if you have a shelf, get a little tray, just corral everything. That it may not be like items like all your lipsticks, but maybe that's where you go to get ready in the morning. This is a little tray that gets you going, and that's it. Or in your kitchen. This is like, to keep oil off your counters, and sometimes the salt and pepper can get messy. It's nice, you can just take the bottles off and clean this up and then put everything back. So trays are an awesome mini investment. You may already have things organized, but it just still looks visually cluttered to you. This might be the solution you're looking for.
I find too, a lot of clients will already have nice, like fun plates. They got that one mismatched plate or that Lazy Susan that's put away that they never use.
Yep.
Those are great to pull out because then they get excited that it's like new life again.
Yes.
It's like using that quilt again.
Right, and it's
So look
repurposing
around
what you already
Look
have.
around your kitchen.
Shop around your own home.
Yeah.
So shop around your own home. Like you may already have this stuff that you can repurpose if you just think outside the box a little bit. That's something too. People often are like, I think I want to hire you, but I don't want you to make me throw away all my things, and I don't want you to make me spend $1 million because you already cost $1 million, which we don't. But and it's like my job is not to get you to spend more money. I want you to refer me to your friends, you know, and say like, Sarah was really creative in the way that we use things in my home already, or, you know, so don't let that stop you from anything that you get an accountability partner for. If they're really good at their job, they're going to really have your best interest at heart. And shopping around your own home for products is an amazing thing to do. Has anyone heard of the hanger trick? Yes? No? Okay. I love doing this with my most times it's females. I hate to categorize by gender, but most times it's females. And they're like, I just can't organize my closet. And I'm like, okay. And a lot of the times, and I know how sensitive a subject this is, sometimes you have people who are like, I'm going to fit into those jeans, whether you like it or not. And while I want that for you, I do, if that's your goal, sometimes staring at that, whatever size that is for you, is more stressful than it is helping you. If you really think about it, because if you're not there yet, or it's not really, if weight loss is, you don't have a big enough why for weight loss, you haven't been able to do whatever that means to you, sometimes looking at that just stresses you out. So, A, start there. If it doesn't fit on you today, donate it. And then when you get to that goal, treat yourself. Don't go crazy, but, and I'm not a financial, you know, I'm pretty good with finances, but that's not my area of expertise. But treat yourself, right? Celebrate with something new that fits you at that moment. I had a client who, you know, she's been wanting to get to a certain size for 10 years. The fashions change. So then you want to fit into that new size, and like, great, but, you know, you're not even with what's going on right now. So, the hanger trick. I encourage all those clients who have a really hard time just really understanding what they actually use and don't use. You take all the things in the hanger. We go through, keep, donate, discard. And if it's still stuffed to the brim, and again, I don't have a magic wand. I can't create more space for you all the time. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. So then we bring out the tricks like this. You take all the things that are left, and I wish I had a hanger, but you know how usually you hang things on the hanger like this? I want you to turn everything around like this. As you use it, right, so now it's kind of backwards. As you use the item, you take the blouse off the hanger, you put it on. Great. Take that hanger, turn it around. In 6 months, I want you to look and see what's still hanging the other way. What haven't you touched in 6 months, 8 months? Okay, I get it seasonal, we're in Ohio, like, change of season, I'll give you that. But even if you take all your winter stuff and you have that out and all your spring and summer stuff is away, or vice versa, this works great. It's really that, like, you can hire someone to tell you that you're not going to wear those jeans because you haven't, but until you see it yourself, sometimes that's what you need. So, and you can do that with other things too around your house. Maybe you put a label on something, and when you go to use it, then you take the label off. And if you haven't used it, and the label's still there 6 months later, when you go to reassess, when you go through that memory bin or whatever it is, it's time to figure out who can benefit from that item. Because there are people out there we can be helping with all of our stuff. Hanger trick. Rotating towel bar. I haven't found anyone who makes one of these other than IKEA, but you can order it online from IKEA. And it's this awesome bar. It's a vertical bar and has all these rods that are sticking out of it, and they move. And you can mount it to your wall, and yes, you can put towels on, different hand towels, or if you've got a big family and everyone has a different hand towel or face towel. But I also like to tell clients, great, let's move that into your closet. And now you can put out tomorrow's outfit, right? That's a great way to get organized the night before you get ready for the next day. So you can just get up, you've got your tray full of all your get ready facial stuff, and you know what outfit you're wearing. Or it's great for tank tops. Sometimes those stringy tank tops you wear underneath your shirts, or men with those muscle shirts, they're hard to fold, and maybe you end up cramming in your drawer anyway. Just put the sleeves or the straps over these rods. Or sometimes ladies, your bathing suits. Just things that are hard to fold. This is great for that. Purses. If you've got bags you don't mind hanging, they're not too fancy where you're going to put them on a shelf. Putting things on shelves takes up a lot of your real estate. This is a really great tool, and a lot of clients have really grabbed onto this and really run with it. That reminds me of another trick with this bar. I told you about pot lids, I told you about S-hooks, and like maybe mounting it to your kitchen walls and then organizing utensils and spices. You can also put high heels on these things. Have you ever seen that? A lot of my clients would, in New York, you have no space. So above the doorway, on the top of the door casing, we would, and these are, not this one, but some of them are expandable. You can also use curtain rods. That's a good one. But you just put it up there, and your heel will fit behind here. So if you don't have any more closet space and you don't want to invest in a nice closet organizer, which I'm big fans of those, just reorganizing your closet and actually making sense of it. But if you don't want to do that, if you're not there yet, this is a great way to store your high heels. Okay, Lazy Susans, which was already mentioned. Lazy Susans are oldies, but they're goodies. Like, they're so good. A lot of people have Lazy Susans on their tables, which is great, right? But have you thought about putting it in your fridge? Have you thought about putting it in the back of a cabinet? Not even a corner cabinet, just a cabinet, right? With your spices, which I'm going to get to spices in a minute. Lazy Susans, you guys, I'm sure you have them somewhere in your home in a box. Get them out. Put them, you know, I have a client who, in New York, she had her bed on risers so she could use that real estate under her bed. And she had a Lazy Susan, a big one. And she could just turn it and get things from, because she had her bed right in the corner. And she could turn it and get things from under her bed. I mean, you can get creative when real estate's really expensive. I call this my magical organizing tool because I love these guys. This one from IKEA was 90 cents. I found it in the, you guys don't have an IKEA in Cleveland, do you?
No. It's rude.
Yeah, Columbus has one. But you can shop IKEA online, I will say that. But this was 90 cents. IKEA has an as-is section. If you ever get an IKEA here, always check that as-is section before you leave, because a lot of stuff is like, there's a scratch on it in the back end underneath, and you get $50 off. It's great. These, yes, it's a magazine organizer. And I think putting your magazines or books in this is a great idea. It's also good for like kids' mail or your mail when you walk in an entryway. Maybe you put, you know, Mike, Susan, whoever else in your family, and then you can organize your mail that way. So papers, yes. I love it underneath the kitchen cabinet. You can put in all of these guys that are always like, see this box, it's already falling apart. This is mine for my home. But it doesn't really bother me because it's all corralled in this awesome organizer that uses, again, it uses height. And it's real thin. So we're not spreading out, we're going up. So you can also put these next to each other. It just keeps them all corralled. You know what else these are really good for? Are lids. So if you have plastic to-go containers, I'm not thinking very good, leftover containers, right? First of all, people will say, can you help me? I've got a whole drawer of like these lids, all different colors. I don't know what lid goes with what thing. I've just come to this conclusion that I think what we need to do is, yes, let's go through them and let's pair the lid to the container, and then let's donate them. And then I want you to go to one store, and remember that store, and then we're going to buy the same product every time that you, because you know it happens, you give them away with cookies or you give them away with leftover, it's like no big deal. Buy the same one every time so the lids always fit, always. And if someone gives you one that doesn't fit with your thing, donate it, give it back, like get it out of your house because it's just going to end up cluttering up your cabinets and your drawers and frustrating you. But then you can put those lids that are now nicely nesting within each other into this guy. And so you got all your lids in here. And then of course the container itself, they can just stack up nicely inside of them.
I took a plastic bag and took these pins that go on the wall.
Yep.
And on the inside of each one of my cabinets, I put all those little things that you get from the Aldi's and the lids and everything. And you can see them instantly, the size.
There you go. So using, she said she pins plastic bags, and that's how she corrals all the items. She can see inside and she can know what size is inside each bag. It's the same idea of just rethinking about the way you can use things around your house that you already have. Then it's just getting the energy to put those things there. Yeah. So this is a play on our shoe organizer. Again, I first discovered this at IKEA, but I recognize on Amazon other companies make them. They market them as remote control organizers, but there are so many other uses for these things. So yes, you can put them over your couch and put your remote control in there. Sometimes we'll have several remote controls, which I don't even know how to barely turn on my TV, so I would not do well with that. But I've also encouraged parents to put these in the car, and then right under the seat, and then you can have crayons and You know, maybe like a little thing of Cheerios, because let's be honest, you're not refreshing those Cheerios every time. I know this to be a fact. You know, whatever you need for your little guy. Maybe we've got wipies in one, and it's just a great way. It's like a mini version of the shoe organizer. So if you can find anything with compartments and you can think of a use for it, do not buy things because you think you'll have a use for it. I don't condone that. Only bring something into your home if you already have a purpose for it. Rethinking spices. So spices tend to be a real pain point for a lot of my clients. And an organizer showed me this, and I do it for all my clients now. Instead of putting them in a cabinet, even when you have those like stepping spice organizers, if it works for you, great. I'm not, you know, but sometimes it's like you go to reach the back one, and the other ones just fall on the ground, or what have you, or putting them in a drawer. Sometimes you have to recontain them. And I get that, but what I've learned from cooks is they tend to use the same spices over and over again. So you can get these little containers. They tend to be steel containers with clear tops. Invest in them once. Get them on Amazon, IKEA, what have you. And then you can either know what's in the container if you're a super cook, or you can label them. And then as they get lower, you just add the spices to them. And if you want in your back of your pantry in the back, you can keep the actual spice container, you know, but this is a great way to just pull the drawer open. It's always there for you. You can date it, because as I've learned, spices aren't always good. Like, they do expire. So this is a great way to keep tabs on them.
Another way is when you just use the regular spice bottle,
Mm-hmm.
right on the top of the bottle so that you can see it in the drawer. So
Right.
you put all your stuff in the drawer, just right on the top, and how you can pick them out.
She said that if you want to use the container the spices came in, if you're lucky enough to have a nice deep drawer, because some of those things can be tall, just right on top of the container it came in, so that you can just see it when you're looking down. It'll save you some time of fishing through some things you can reuse. You don't have to go through the fact of investing in something else and keeping the container in the back of your pantry. But sometimes people have, like in New York at least, we only have a couple pull-out drawers. But I don't want that to stop people from being creative. Okay, get clarity on leftovers and pantry items. Another organizer showed me this. It's not my trick. But if you have a glass organizer, which I would invest in these, in addition to the plastic ones. But if you have these, you cook a lot. I don't know if you knew, but if you write on these with dry erase marker, it comes off in the dishwasher. So you can date it if you know that your son will cry if the mac and cheese is gone when he gets home. You can write his name on it. It's just a great way to get clarity on your fridge and date it. And of course, these are great in all sorts of places in the home, but the fridge is a great way to do it because then you can relabel it every time. Another labeling trick I like to share with my clients is to label the front and back, or whatever way you're going to put it in the cabinet. Don't just label the one end, because if a kid comes by and he like takes what he needs out of it and puts it back, and you put the label towards the back, you can combat that by just putting a label on both sides. We had a big, I told you I worked at restaurants a lot in New York, and I worked my way up to management. And we had a whole big tea section in the back. It was a fancy hotel. We had all these teas that we had to refill all the time. So we had all these, not clear containers, we had all these containers full of tea, and I thought I was so, such a great manager. I labeled all of them, I put dates on when they need to be changed out. But I noticed as the servers were busy, they would take the tea they needed and put it back, and then you wouldn't know what's in there. And I'm like, I need to label both sides. That way, no matter what happens, no matter what way you put it back, you can see what's in there. I love command hooks, you guys. Command hooks are amazing. And some of them can hold up to 12 pounds. So get creative. I mean, the back of kitchen cabinets, in bathrooms where you can't drill into the walls. I've seen people put 2 hooks up and lay their toothbrush. I mean, for me, I love beautiful homes. My husband and I also do a lot of interior design work together. I get beauty, I do. But if it doesn't work, then you've wasted your money. So if that's what you need to get your toothbrush off the sink, or for your kids off the floor because it keeps falling, or whatever works for you, start there, right? Because the hook is like a $5 commitment. If it works, okay, what can I find that's prettier, that can last longer, that I can now invest in because I know this system works well. But command hooks are amazing. There are so many ways to use them, so many. I'm gonna wrap up. My favorite tip to always, I still blow people's minds with this, but always use height, whenever, wherever. Shelving is amazing. If you've got a garage, you're not utilizing the height, you've got valuable real estate. Before you add shelves though, ask yourself if you need the items that you want to store. And if it's an emotional attachment to those things, get a professional to help, get a friend to help, someone who's going to really hold you accountable to making smart decisions with your stuff. Because it's not fun when you walk home every day or you drive into your garage and you just feel that weight on your shoulders because you have all this stuff in your life, but you feel like you have to keep it or someone's going to make you feel guilty for giving it away. I'm giving you permission to give a second life to your things. If someone gives you a card, the whole point of that card is to make you feel really great in that moment that you receive it, right? But I promise you, they don't remember that card a year later while it's still in all your files. They don't remember. They'll probably give you another card that next year. Now, there are those certain cards that they just really have the right words and they really touched your heart. Maybe then you can cut them out and you can put them in a picture frame and hang on your wall and enjoy it every day. But if you keep just piling birthday cards into a file, you're not hurting that person's feelings by throwing it away. You're really not. They'll understand. If they don't understand, you don't have to tell them. I'm giving you permission to just make those decisions for yourself and really ask yourself. So again, my name is Sarah. I will say that, so I'm speaking at a bunch of branches here in the Cleveland area, which I'm super grateful. And what I want to do, I thought about ways to thank you for coming out and spending your time with me and geeking out with me this period of time. What I'm going to do is, if you're willing to give me the branch you showed up at, your name and your email address, I will choose one winner for $25 towards Amazon to start your organizing journey. So if you'd like to, there's no pressure. You can go ahead and give me your information there. And I'm here if you have any specific questions.